Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are back again to give you another great piece of advice and wisdom when it comes to if you are planning to do a jumper or make a jumper account. Is it best to go solo or join a project? And those are, though you could do things a little differently, those are the two biggest decisions that you'll really make when it comes to deciding to do a jump account. And most of the time, this is usually done by new players who are just getting into the game to utilize, and also players that want to re-roll accounts, right, to get into a new kingdom. Before we get started, we talk about the pros and cons of both. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring that notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up our Discord. You can find that in the pinned comment and description down below. Okay, so at the moment, whether or not you are deciding to do a solo jumper or if you are considering joining a project, I'm going to start off and talk about a little bit of reasonings for what some of the goals are that you have or you could have or maybe don't have as a jumper. So when you're making a jump account, right, the idea behind it is you want to play a new account, you want to boost it, and then you want on your first kingdom, and then you do your first jump or your one jump to your second kingdom, which will also be your final kingdom, therefore your home kingdom. So that's the idea behind jumping, essentially just to get a head start. Now, as an individual player, you might do this for a few reasons. As a solo player, you may find benefit where you may spend a lot. Maybe you just want to redo an account so you can spend a bunch on it. Maybe you want to go and just be a contributing or roguish player, maybe something in the middle as well. But you want to be a top player in that kingdom so you can benefit from winning some of the events. Maybe you're solo jumping because you just want to experience a kingdom from day one again and enjoy that development phase. That is something I often hear from players. Then there could be the version where maybe you jump solo with a few other players, right? Maybe up to one alliance worth where it really wouldn't necessarily be considered a group. And you're doing it maybe because you guys want to be the top alliance. Maybe you want to have the top group of players on the kingdom. And regardless of your intentions, that could be another route that you take. Now, some of the realistic expectations that I think solo jumpers should have is that, one, for the most part, you are not really going to be in a position to dictate or to be a part of kind of kingdom decisions, right? Or be a factor or an influence into kingdom decisions for the most part. I'm just talking at face value, right? Regardless of what you may or may not bring to the table, if you're an individual player, right, you will be isolated, right? You'll be separated as most individual members do. You're just not going to be someone like as a lead or an officer potentially, depending on what you do. Maybe you do start an alliance up, right? I'm just focusing on the average members here. And so that is a realistic expectation, is that if you're solo jumping, you're kind of going to have to, if you do not make your own alliance, you will join and be a part of another alliance and kind of going off of what they do, right? So if you're cool riding the wave, being a contributing member, maybe you step up and be an officer. Those are things you can do. But there are realistic expectations that I think every player should have, and this kind of just goes into general player expectations when you're getting into a kingdom, but for all intensive purposes, focusing it there for the video. Now we get into the jumper project. Right, joining a project, you are able to benefit from having a lot of helps early on. They're going to help you progress and develop your account. You have a higher chance of making it into further zones as well, for Zone 2 and Zone 3, especially if your group or your project is able to kind of have majority presence in the kingdom when you land. And that can benefit you by advancing throughout the stages of a kingdom's development. It also gives you some protection and cover from potential rogue alliances or maybe having to go and fight for structures or objectives because, again, you kind of have the biggest stick right in the yard, so to speak. So that can help. Now, some of the, disadvantages are when you're joining a project is that you don't really have as much individuals say, right? The ability to give feedback, suggestions, have conversations, that's there. But right, you're joining a group usually because hopefully you believe in what that group's mission is, you believe in what their policies are, their standards, what their goals are for the kingdom. Usually you don't come across in too many instances where people kind of join for the wrong reasons. It can happen, and it has happened. But the hope is that they're not joining for the wrong reasons. They're joining more for those right reasons or maybe neutral reasons. And so because of that, as an individual, right, you may have to go along with what that group's policies are and kingdom goals are for what will be established if they do get or acquire majority presence in the kingdom. So when it comes to whether or not you feel that doing a solo jump or joining a group is most beneficial, in my opinion, I personally will always feel that joining a group in a project is the best thing that you can do, right? Unless you fall into some of those outlier categories of, like I said, you're just going to spend a bunch, you want to win all the events. Maybe you just want to fight and be a warish rogue player, right? Regardless if you're free to play or not. Maybe that's the way you enjoy the game. But remember that even if you are a solo player, you may still succumb, if not most likely will, to being at the behest of the kingdom's management and whatever goals, standards, policies, rules they put into place, right, for that kingdom. So that's why I say I'm a big believer that it's always great to join a project, and often, and I'll say this, sometimes what I do see is players that will start jumper accounts and then they will start looking for groups to join or if anyone's going. This, in my opinion, is just not the most efficient way to do it. You want to look for a group first and join in when they jump. Don't look for a group last minute, because there's no guarantee that, one, you are going to be able to join an organized group that you like what they stand for. It's almost kind of like a necessity join because you don't really have a lot of options. You want to be able to take advantage of looking around for groups to see which ones really fit your play style and what you're hoping. Now, this obviously doesn't necessarily apply for the most part to new players, because usually they just don't really know at that stage in time with how they're just starting to play the game, know what to look for, know what to ask, know what to expect when it comes to landing in a kingdom. So the hope for them really is just to try and join a group that is organized, is structured, has a good game plan, maybe communicates with the members, right? These are just some kind of key good flags to look out for. Though joining a group is always going to be my strongest recommendation, and doing it beforehand rather than after you create your account is always going to be best. And again, you can find those groups, whether it's on the RoK Discord, other RoK-related Discords, content creators, and etc., who will have channels there where you can look at jump groups or promotion, jump group promotion, ad channels, and you can join. But that's my biggest takeaway here, is going to be to join a group rather than going solo. You will benefit a lot more from it in a multitude of ways. As I said, unless you fall into one of those few big asterisk categories, that is always my best recommendation. And like I said, that last big point is joining before you make the account, not after you make the account, so you can actually get some good benefit from it. So I hope this helps for any new players that are getting into RoK, or if you're someone who's considering doing a jumper account. And this is just kind of us going through a few of the pros and cons scenarios. I hope you enjoyed. And in the event that there might be something else that maybe I missed or didn't touch on, let me know in the comments down below on how you feel about the video, hopefully giving you some good direction on how to make the best use of your time and or possibly money when you are making that new jumper account. That is it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch you later.